Hi friends, welcome back. So headline, Tesla's finally buying ads to get Elon Musk his 55 billion payday, and Elon Musk Tesla is buying ads on Elon Musk X to get Elon Musk 55 billion pay package approved. Hi everyone, welcome back. And I know I showed this headline just yesterday, but this has been my favorite one, where you have one guy using one company to buy ads on another company that he owns to essentially promote pay for himself. And it's funny because what kind of crazy world that we live in, to where a CEO wants to essentially use a company dollar to advertise for people to pay him more. And when you pay him more, it's going to dilute said people. So you're basically cheating, taking money from people twice. Guys, I, however, though, want to acknowledge that there are other arguments out there. The Pumpers recently just made a video regarding what they think about Elon Musk's pay, and I want to play some for you, and I'll meet you on the other side.
I put out a post on X a couple of days ago, and I was gonna make a video about this, but I still feel like I don't have everything in my head right to come across the way I want to come across. But since this is a forum of just three boys talking to each other, that it's going to be watched by a certain number of people, the Tesla boys. Dude, this is not going to end well. I feel like this is going to end up in a place where
Tesla stock price in about 15 years will be somewhere around $48,893, which from today's date is roughly 47x where we are today, which is a lot.
The reason I called the channel Investing Against the Grain is because the whole point was because I realized that diversification is stupid.
Yeah.
And in that video, I have a clip of Warren Buffett saying diversification is a hedge against ignorance. Something like that. I might be butchering it. But so that was my whole point. And so that's when I realized, like, to have conviction, to really understand a company and to go all into it. Anyway, so just to let you guys know what I'm about to say, I'm all in Tesla. So I have a bias. So just putting that out.
The Tesla boys. Dude, this is not going to end well. I feel like this is going to end up in a place where yeah. So this is where I'm at, and I'm going to be completely honest. I think if you're somebody who voted yes in 2018 and now are voting no, you are immoral. So that's kind of where I'm landing with that, because it doesn't matter what administrative issues Tesla had with Elon and the board's relationship not being disclosed. None of that matters. It was a number-based goal that almost everybody thought was ridiculous because it was so insanely over-optimistic, which ended up being hit. And so if you voted yes back in 2018 and you voted no, and now you're voting no, you should not be trusted. So that's where I land. Number one. If you voted no in 2018 and you vote no again, great. Okay, cool. So okay, cool. So you're kind of where you're at, and that's great. Cool. I think that because most people are moral and most people are good people, I think this passes without
the Delaware thing will pass. And I really, really hope the reincorporating into Texas does pass, for the exact reasons that y'all mentioned. Like, Delaware needs to receive a message that, hey, like, you need to be what Delaware has always been. None of this creative baloney sauce. Like, let's keep the woke stuff out of corporate governance, and then we'll we'll see what happens.
And I don't think, even if you love, hate, whatever, Elon, I think you've seen a lot of people say that this is disgusting and this wasn't right.
I agree with you 100%. And I think people that generally have money to invest or have funds are generally capitalistic. And I think they I hope would understand the long-term ramifications of rolling this back after the deal was agreed upon, right? On that deal.
I largely agree, except for the huge caveat of just thinking about the insanity of our ESG, like this whole ESG thing that's in investing. You would think that investors want to make money, but all of the metrics that go into that movement, maybe it is now. Hopefully,
it is.
I hope that Alexandra killed it.
There was a trend of like the number of times ESG was mentioned in like earnings reports or something, and it's gone down dramatically. Now it's being replaced with AI. So ESG is going away, AI is coming in. But okay. So
in about 15 years will be somewhere around $48,893, which from today's date is roughly 47x where we are today. Which is a lot. Which is a lot.
So that was some of the stuff that the pumpers had to say. And in fact, I want to go over some things and hopefully educate you guys of why what they say is complete nonsense. And hopefully this all makes sense to you. First, I want you to understand fiduciary duty. So this is from Investopedia. There's a lot of different ways you can think about it. I'll leave it up here on the screen. You can pause the video. Please read through this stuff. It's a good way to learn. But I'll give you the basic gist of it is in the situation of Tesla or any situation when you have a sort of professional relationship and I have a duty to serve you and protect you, the basic idea is that I will act in your best interest, okay? So let me give you an example. So let's say I'm a lawyer and I have a duty to you to act in your best interest, right? And I could end the case today, right? And maybe you come up with whatever case, I think we can win quickly, we'll win in a day, etc., right? And if I ignore my duty, say to your best interest, I would say, oh, well, it's going to take a long time. we gotta work on this thing for a month, right? And basically I can bill you for a month. And so, yes, I'm still serving you and maybe the end result is the same, but I'm going to overcharge you, right? And so there's a lot of different things you can think about with fiduciary duty. But the basic point of the ruling in the Delaware situation is that the board of directors was not acting on the best interest of the shareholders and more acting on the best interest of Elon Musk. This is actually another interesting thing to consider with this kind of stuff. This was back in 2024 when the ruling first came out. It says directors and executives take note. Delaware court voids Elon Musk's $55 billion Tesla pay package. And just to give you an idea of context, it says for the context, this is from, again, February, the compensation plan was 250 times larger than the contemporary's median peer compensation. So when you look at other CEOs, the pay package for Musk was like 250 times bigger, like really big, and 33 times larger than Musk's plan's closest historical comparison, which is ironically Mr. Musk's prior compensation plan, right? So the closest plan to his 2018 one is like his old plan, which is kind of crazy. And why does this matter? Why does this matter? Well, if you're doing your fiduciary duty, right, and you're a board and you could hire any CEO, not just Elon Musk, you would shop around. It's the same way that if you're professional basketball team and you can get any number of players and maybe you can play a player $500 million to come play for your team and he's really good, I'm paying $500 million, but what if you can get the same quality for $50 million, right? And you kind of ignore the $50 million player. And in the situation of Tesla, the board didn't even look at other CEOs, right? So they weren't really pursuing a reasonable price to pay. So that was essentially the argument, and this is sort of why these numbers come into play. If you take a look at this as well, this is on May 26, 2024. Tesla shareholders should reject Musk pay, and this is according to Glass Lewis, and so they're an independent research advisory firm, and what they do is they're going to research for pension funds, big money, etc. And they're advising no. And let's read what they have to say. It's interesting. So it says here, Glass Lewis and Company made its recommendation in a report released Saturday, citing the excessive size, right, too big a pay, of the pay deal and dilutive effect upon exercise, meaning that they're going to dilute you, right? Your shares are going to be worth less. So you, the shareholders, are going to lose money by paying Elon. Like, it doesn't come out of thin air. It comes from you. It says here, quote, Mr. Musk's slate of extraordinarily time-consuming projects, right? Extraordinary time-consuming projects unrelated to the company was well documented before 2018. So even before, he was already moonlighting in other places, and only expanded, so it got worse, with the high-profile purchase of the company now known as X. The recommendation to large institutional investors may sway their vote over must pay at the car maker's June 13th annual meeting. If the proposal is rejected, the CEO may be good on his threats to develop products outside of Tesla. And so part of why I bring up what they're saying is, and this is actually a really important point. If you watch what the Pumperland, that one guy just kept going back to politics. And essentially they do this the whole time. This is sort of what these channels do. Oh, you just voting against Elon because you hate his politics. Or you just vote against Elon because you hate Elon. Or you just vote against Elon because you don't believe how awesome he is. It's like this kind of stuff. And it's funny when they bring up the politics argument, because I actually make a very specific point when we talk about this stuff on the channel. I never bring up the politics stuff. It's not relevant to discussion. Why is it not relevant? When I look at this situation, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm a board of directors, right, and I want to hire a CEO to run my company, I want that person to be committed to run my company. if they're not, like, I'm gonna get someone else. And it's like nothing to do with politics. It's like, I'll give you an example. Let's say, Elon Musk, the CEO, is off doing, stuff like watching Yankees games, right? Because he loves the Yankees, the New York Yankees baseball team. And say I love the New York Yankees too. So actually, I'm a full supporter of the New York Yankees, and I agree with Elon Musk that you can like the New York Yankees, and you can talk about all day, every day, etc. But like, if you're spending, 6 days a week at the Yankees game and only 1 day a week at your company, Tesla, you got a real problem there that has very little to do with politics. And if you want to change the context, it's not a Yankees game. Maybe he's out planting trees every day for 6 days a week, right? Even though I agree with you that we should plant trees, I completely agree with you. But as a board of director, or essentially your boss, I want you to do your job, which is be at the freaking company that we hired you to run, not, go out, plant trees 6 days a week. So, it's weird when people make those political arguments, because again, I never make that argument whatsoever. These are just facts. Like, the guy is a busy guy, and he's running multiple things, and he's not 100% focused on Tesla. And it's easy for anyone to see. And moreover, the other part of the sort of the decision making process of when they did the pay package, etc., was really, Elon had a large role in it. And so part of like the argument that the Tesla pumpers and stock promoters try to make is, well, a deal is a deal, and we shouldn't, go against a deal. And if you do, you're immoral. Let me put it to you this way, guys. Let's say, for example, I make a deal with you and I lie to you and I omit, meaning that I don't disclose everything, right? Like, for example, I sell you a house and I didn't tell you that, the house basement is flooded. Like, I didn't tell you that. And then you buy the house, and then, whatever, a year later, 2 years later, 3 weeks later, it doesn't matter. You discover that, oh my God, you lied to me. You didn't tell me that the house was flooded. Like that sort of breaks the contract. That changes what you did. And this idea that, okay, a deal is a deal, but think about it, sometimes deals are raw deals. And that's essentially what was going on here, where the thing was that the board, and I guess the way it was disclosed to shareholders, they were misleading and didn't necessarily tell the vote people everything. So I'll go through some more details of this stuff, but I just want to kind of tell you guys sort of the arguments of these things. And the arguments that the pumpers make are just frankly aren't very good, and they don't address the key points. Like, let's go on. I want to show you some more. It's really interesting. So this is actually 2018, the same firm, Glass Lewis. You can actually find these articles. It's fascinating. They actually recommended against Elon Musk's pay package back in 2018 as well. So 6 years ago, this is what they said. They said, influential advisory firm Glass Lewis, again, it's funny, the same decision both times. Influential proxy advisory firm Glass Lewis said Tesla Inc. shareholders should vote against a proposal grant Chief Executive Officer Elon Musk performance-based stock options worth $2.62 billion. So this was worth a lot less back then, but they still said to vote against. If Musk earned the full grant, he would own 28.3% of the company. Although Tesla's proxy statement showed that his ownership was expected to be lesser, Glass Lewis said in a report dated February 2028. So I think what it's saying here is that they were calculating that Musk would own more of the company, but then sort of the board and whoever they made to make the report was calculating a lesser number. So this independent body was coming up with different numbers than what Tesla was. That's how I read that here, and you guys can go through this stuff also and take a look at what else they say. They also say here, the cost of the grant is staggering relative to executive compensation levels among public companies worldwide. So the reason, again, why you care about this kind of stuff, why do you care about Elon's pay compared to other people's pay, is because if you're truly looking for, say, the best CEO or best pay package for someone, you compare it to others. So what's on the market, right? Are you looking at other people or not? It says here the grant would dilute other investors and prove too costly. They even say that, talk about dilution back here in 2018. The firm values the award at $3.7 billion based on different valuation model used. Also, too, it says the award is seen as an effort by Tesla to reassure investors that Musk will continue to helm the electric car maker in the long term, and that his interests will align with those of Tesla stockholders. So it's interesting because I think back then they were even worried that Musk might leave. Part of the ruling, though, was and this is sort of interesting. This is a valuation by Gibson Dunn. You kind of just look this up for yourself. They were saying that Musk wasn't really in danger of losing, and so that or leaving, that is. And so essentially, like, you don't have to pay him more because he's not going anywhere anyway. But that's the argument that you would try to make. Here, let me just read this here. It says the court found, and I'm just trying to go over this stuff, guys, so it's really clear. And again, if none of this makes sense, please pause it, and you can take a look at it right here. So I put it on the screen. The court found that the stockholder vote approving Musk's grant was not fully informed for 2 reasons. The proxy inaccurately described key directors as independent, meaning they weren't independent, they were in Musk's pocket, close relationships, etc. When several of them had extensive personal and professional relationships of long duration with Musk, including owing much of their personal wealth to Musk. The proxy misleadingly omitted details, right, another key point, about the process by which Musk's grant was approved, including material preliminary conversations between Musk and the Compensation Committee chairman, as well as Musk's role in setting the terms of the grant and the timing of the committee's work, right? So Musk was in on making his own deal. Like this, they should be independent, but they're not. That's really an important thing. Also, too, we can take a look at this. It says here, in addition to the process of approving the grant, the court considered its price. The board never asked the $55 billion question. Was the plan even necessary for Tesla to retain Musk and achieve its goals? The court concluded that it was not for 3 key reasons. And I lay this out here really clearly because when the pumpers, the promoters, don't address some of these key rulings by the court, they're not really saying much of anything, right? And even in their discussion, they're like, oh, well, they haven't appealed the decision because Elon's awesome. that they make just really bad arguments. It doesn't really make sense. Because the truth is like for example, let's say you feel that the Delaware ruling is poor and you disagree with it, etc. Just you should appeal it then. That's what you should do, and you should address the core arguments of why you think it's wrong. So I'm showing you what they are. They don't even talk about these on the pumper channels. They just talk about, oh, you just you're just being political. You just hate Elon, right? This kind of stuff. It's frankly just really bad arguments. So that's why I go through this really clearly with you. Okay, so this is 3 key reasons why the court pointed out here. It says Musk already owned 21.9% of Tesla, which ownership gave him incentive to push Tesla to grow its market cap, even without additional compensation. Meaning he already has a large stake in the game or skin in the game. He's already incentivized to want to drive the stock price up. You don't have to give him yet more shares. Also says here, there was no risk that Musk would depart Tesla without receiving the grant, nor did the board condition the package on Musk devoting any set amount of time to Tesla. That's actually a really interesting point because like you say, the argument you could put that in the contract, hey, Mr. Musk, if you're going to stay here, you're going to relinquish duties at other places, we're going to pay you a bunch of money, but you're going to focus 100% on Tesla, right? And they're saying here that they didn't include that, something like that. Also says here, the grant's performance conditions were not, in fact, ambitious and difficult to achieve. And this is something that I guess from their sort of like internal projections and kind of the pumping that they were doing over at Tesla, that it wasn't as hard as they make it seem. That he was already heading in that direction. And one of the things that I point out in the past, I'm just sharing with you guys, what is ARK Invest's role in this pumping and promotion of the stock? Because much of this pay is tied to pushing the stock price up in order to get Elon's pay. And the thing that my personal opinion on this stuff, and I share it to you guys when I can, is I actually would be totally fine if Elon Musk said, you know what, I'm just going to step down from Tesla and I'm going to focus on putting humans on Mars. Because for me, I'm not really into cars that much. It's just not my thing. If you like cars, hey, no problem, and I have no problem with you liking cars. Sometimes people say like, hey, I love my Tesla. What's wrong with Tesla stock? But the thing is, like, you can love your car, it's fine, but it doesn't mean you want to pay $1 million for your car, right? Things can be overvalued the same way. You may like your car, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I want to pay, whatever price, like $5 trillion for Tesla stock or whatever. It doesn't mean that there's no such thing as a fair price. There is. The stock has been overvalued for quite a long time. Essentially, the reason is why is that you're betting on this FSD, and I guess it's an AI company. Even if that were true, it's overvalued, but we're not even to the point to where it is true and it's overvalued. So it's even worse. I don't think the FSD is going to be worth what you think it is. And that's a whole argument I talk about in other videos, but you're dealing with all kinds of things here. And I know this stuff gets complicated, but I want to leave with this. And this is actually a tweet just 4 minutes ago from Farzad, the King Pumper. He wrote this on Twitter, and it sort of captures the kind of world that he's in and sort of the discussions they have in their essentially dorm room discussions on their channels. It says here, Farzad, 4 minutes ago, you got 3 choices here. I enjoy playing chess. Okay, check. My rating is going down. Check. And then he unchecks. I should improve. I should study to improve, right? And that captures exactly what Farzad and many of the pumpers are up to. And guys, I want you to check this last box. I want you to study. I want you to improve. I want you to learn. And I want you to learn to spot the BS that's out there. Much of social media is BS. It's a lot of bad arguments, a lot of bad faith arguments, and essentially people either lying to you or they're just frankly too dumb to know the truth. I take my time to try to go through everything as best as I can. I purposely ask you guys for help in the community. Hey, did I miss something? What's going on here? Again, it's not about politics at all to me. It's about just what is a typical board do, what is standard business practices, these kind of things. And I don't think I make any like weird arguments or anything like that. And I always find it strange when I see some of the stuff the pumpers write and basically they say, "Oh, Chris, you just hate Elon," and it's like, no, not really. He and I went to the same school. I always thought that was cool. And I actually really want Elon to go to Mars. I do. If you want to spend all your money, go to Mars, build base spaceships like that, please do. Please do. But whatever you decide to do, focus on that when 100% entirely. And if you promise to put out products and you promise to do stuff, do it, right? Don't keep like not doing it and then make promises on something else. That stuff's ludicrous. So that's my thoughts on this kind of stuff. I'd like to hear your thoughts as well.
People,
and I catch you all.
Dude, this is not going to end well. I feel like this is going to end up in a place where